Hi, Pat. Professor Peter Gregory here. Thanks for sending me your file. Just be careful. It might be a good habit, get into good practice. I'm looking at the title here, and just make sure you're using the class ID with your name and then the description of what the file contains before you push it up on eClass. Just giving you a little bit of a heads up there. So basically, you've got this thing started okay. Uh, I want you to just take a look at what I'm going to show you here. You're basically set up okay, all right? But there's a half of it is kind of missing. I just want to bring the things out. I'm not sure where you are with this, but let's separate the sheet out with some color here, and I'm going to use something, that's fine, dark blue like that. Okay, because on the right-hand side of your solution, this is going to be schedule. So after we get done with doing the profitability, the schedule is about only half as complex as doing the profitability. Okay, but what I'm going to do is with some color here help lay this thing out. Okay, what I did was I added an index here. Okay, so this could be like a PO number, or actually this could be a contract, just call it contract number. Okay, that we have, and then what I want you to do is do the five contracts that are fed up to you. That's the 1 through 5. Okay, but then I want you to run out a cool dozen. So I need you to evaluate 12 garment contracts here. So they're going to come up. All right. So I'm going to paint that a little different color here. Let's see what we should do for more colors. Let's pick the ones coming up would be, let's use, so I'm not, try not to be too obnoxious here with colors, right? So you have that. These are the ones that you are given, so to speak. Okay. You can do certain things like, let's pick another green here. Let's pick a dark green like that. Okay. I want to make the text white, hit it with bold so it shows up a little bit better like that, and resize the column. Okay. Let's see here. So what I would do is I'm giving some points on style here. It actually helps your eyes. So this is our heading. This is our heading row that I've got here. Whoops, I didn't grab it all. Let me do it again. To grab all these. Okay, so I'm going to grab all these, and I'm going to paint them dark blue, which happens to be my header favorite color. We'll paint them white letters, and we'll paint it bold. Okay, boom. Okay, so now we have something going on in here. Now I do know cut, sew, dye, embroider, transfer, press, and pack. What I would do with this to keep my eyes working is just color it with a little bit different blue than the other ones, because I like to see that block. I'd like to see that block stand out a little bit more. So let's go back to more colors, and let's turn it something related. Let's turn it purple. See if that helps. Yeah, looks good. Looks fine. Okay, so let me grab some of these columns that are not being shown completely. I just double click on that, and they gives me the space that I want. Okay, so here's the prelim information. You have the price. Okay, let's change that to dollars. Okay, so we're going to actually format this whole thing as dollars. In fact, let me see here. I want to pick a couple of these. Are all the same. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this column here and change the currency. I was just seeing if I had to do any others at the same time. Because these are going to be the price per garment, I am going to leave the decimal places on there, which are important. You want to show 2 decimal places, as in the pennies. Okay, boom. So I've got the price that the company's paying. There's the quantity and the contract value. Okay, so what you want to do is put in contract value calculated, calced, and contract value, whoops, let me do that again, Alt Enter, given. Okay, so they gave us the contract value there. Okay, so this one we want to change to dollars. Okay, so we want to make sure that these are formatted as dollars, and I'm not going to put the pennies in that one, right? So this time I'm going to take the decimal off because it's a larger financial number, and the pennies just confuse it. Do that again. Currency didn't seem to take. Got the dollars. Okay, so there we go. Contract value, count and given. Okay, because now you want to not only have what's given, but let's make sure that we can calculate the contract and it matches the given value, okay? And I've mentioned before in class and other videos that you do this because you want a little confidence builder. And so we've picked out some primitive information. We've done a calculation with it, and it matches what the system's telling us, 7,200. I really do that. I mean, I would do it anyway, but it does give you that little bit of confidence that the primitive numbers we're able to start working with is that there's nothing in the system that causes that contract value that we're given to be any different than being able to calculate it. Okay, so we're getting control over the environment here, right? Okay, so weight per garment, I think you have in there, weight per garment, that's going to be in pounds, that's fine. Material per unit is 50, cost of material. Okay, one of the things that you need to add here would be insert units material per garment. Okay, so we need to say how many units there are. So we're going to put in. I know for t-shirts that you need two units of material. So the cost of the material is going to be, and here, all right, you've just hard coded it up here. So this is what everything has to be live on here. Okay, so the cost of material is going to be quantity times the number of units of material times the material cost per unit is going to be 1,800. Now you have a live number. Okay, so now you have a live number in there. Okay, and before you, or as you go, continue on here, what you want to do is drag that calculation down. That's one calculation we have. We want to calculate, that's the given. We don't need to drag that down. It's going to be something we type in here, but I already did drag this down. See, we're already ready by dragging that formula down for the future grouping of 7 other future contracts that you need to bid on. You have to figure out what the profitability of them is. Okay, so we've made this much more, well, quite a bit more complete. So the cost of material we have in the hard cold dollars, and then the percent impact on that is you have 25%, and I'm just going to make sure that we've formatted that. Okay, so it's formatted that way, but now you have to make the calculation is going to be the cost of materials compared to the contract value. We'll use the calculated one, all right? We'll work on things, okay? So then we can drag that all the way down, all right? And that'll clear itself up when you start loading up the numbers up here. Right now you have a divide by 0 error, but don't even worry about it, okay? So we're just trying to get through the top one, okay? The top first t-shirt contract. So then you have 7 processes that might have to be taken through, and we know for t-shirts that we don't use dye embroider or transfer. So what I do is I tend to, let's see, that's good. I gray them out, okay? So they're not applicable in this instance. Excuse me. Okay? So you just have to remember that if you upgrade a machine, then there's a different cost per cycle or cycle cost involved. And so as you go through the game and you're working through contracts at a time when you might upgrade your equipment, these costs may go up. I think they go up, not down, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so what we're going to do is looking ahead is I'm going to gray out the middle area. Okay, now just remember some garments only use 3 processes and some use 6, and I don't believe any use 7 in here. Okay, none of them use all of them, but for each garment on each of these rows, what you're going to do in our grouping here. So this is our let's say our process group or activity. I think it's like this is our activity group. Okay, I'll name that manufacturing production activity. Let's use production. I like the word production better. Production floor. Alt Enter brings it down. Hit Enter, and I'm gonna fix that a little bit. It's making this column too narrow. Let's spread it out the way that I wanted it. Boom. Okay. So the production floor activity group is here. And what I might do is just extend the fill up to the top there. I guess we have to turn that text white and bold. Okay, boom. So the purple group, the production floor activity group, so now we can look right in here, and there's a block of similar things here. Okay, and just before we go on, okay, I've made a point that to be able to compare contract to contract, what you want to do is you want to measure the impact of every cost in hard cold dollars and its relative impact here. And so I also am going to paint this so my eyes can see it with a little bit of yellow here. Let's see how that works. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So this is cost 1 of 3. It's cost 1 of 3. Okay, and we have the dollar and the percent. We have it right in the title there. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at cost 2 of 3. Okay, so I want to type that in here. Cost, it's like a header here. Cost 2 of 3. The second cost is in manufacturing cost, production cost. Okay, so let's see what we have. We have cost of manufacturing in dollars, and we have that in percentage. So I'm going to paint that ahead of time. See, this is another pairing of costs. We want hard dollars and we want relative. See how much it is. So what's the cost of manufacturing is going to be equal to, we're missing a column. Let me go back in here. Let's do a sub. You don't necessarily have to do this, but highly recommended in our case here, where let's bring this over, copy them over, and delete that out. And this is going to be unit production cost. Unit production, Alt-Enter, cost. Okay. Spread that out a little bit. Okay, because the cost within the purple range has to, let's do a summation on that. So it's going to be equal to the sum of, we'll take one of these, comma, and I'll take one of these, please, and I'll take one of these, please, and I'll take one of these, and finish off the sum. So it's 70 cents per garment. It's formatted correctly. I'm going to drop that down. Okay, so now we're set up for future contracts. That's why I'm dragging them down. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, so now we can say the cost of manufacturing is going to be the quantity times the unit manufacturing cost, which unit production cost, we call it UMC, unit manufacturing cost. Okay, bang, hit that. Okay, so at 18 S3, I forgot to do the multiply sign in there, so it didn't take. So I'll come back here and grab it. All right. So the cost of materials for t-shirts, for how many do we have? 1,800 t-shirts is, I'm sorry, the cost of manufacturing. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is, yeah, that's good. Cost of manufacturing is such, and then we're going to take that over the quantity that we made. We have to scooch back over to the left. There's our quantity, hit enter, and we need to reformat that into percentage. I'm moving a little bit fast here because I have to get through it. I want to get this back to you in a useful amount of time so you can use it. Let's see, percentage, but you can stop and go back and go forward and everything else. Okay, boom, okay. So it said T3 over D3. It's just kind of interesting, okay. 70%. Okay, I'll go along with that. And you have to be careful, this cost of manufacturing, yes, that'll work, okay, because it's the cost of production is going to be the quantity times this unit production cost. And actually, I'm going to take them out of there because I dragged that down, but for every garment, if you look up here in the sum, and for every garment, it could be different. It depends on which activities are involved with any particular contract. Okay, so far so good. Boom, boom, boom. We got that so far. Now, so we've done our cost 2 of 2, and just to be fun with colors, hit them with yellow line, aren't we? Right. So our eyes can find that, right? Because we're creating a report eventually. This is good for us. All right. So far, boom, boom, boom. Now what we have to get into? I saw weight here. So here's weight. Okay. All right. I just want to bring the blue over there. Okay, we're gonna catch up with this. So now we have to look at the total weight is going to be equal to the quantity. which I forget what cell that was. We'll come over here, grab that cell, the weight times the weight. It's quantity times the weight, okay? So it weighs 900 pounds, weight, and I'll put that in LBS. That just helps us understand what's in there, boom, okay? And we can drag that formula down because that gets reused. It's not unique to each contract, it gets reused, okay? Total weight in pounds. So now, what you need to do is you need to go get in the production floor, I'm sorry, in shipping, you have to go get the table. So I'm going to pause this and go get it. Okay, so I'm going to go by memory because the McGraw Hill practice is sluggish. It just won't kick in. Okay, so we can actually type in our table. So I'm going to type in our table here. So the types of shipping we have: expedited and priority. Okay, and our weight classes are small, large, and freight. Okay. Excuse me. And the small shipping under standard is the only one I'm really caring about right here, because you don't know till you go have to ship it later on whether you're going to need expedited or priority or not. Okay. Now you can use the table, and if you want to do a rush job on something, you can forecast, because we're doing a little forecasting here. We're not doing actuals. Okay. So I'm just going to worry about standard, and the standard for small packages is going to be equal to what was it? $5 plus 1.000 dollars. Put a dollar on there. Dollars. Whoops, wrong place. Dollars. Times the weight. Okay. All right. That's the first category that we have. The second category said it's $60. I think it's $60. $60 plus 75 cents, I think it is, times the weight. And the third one is $175 plus 40 cents times the weight. Okay, so those are our three equations. You can go into, and if you can do anything else, pretty much for this table that you're doing here, it's all forecasts, so just use this table. All right, so those are the, I think that's the double, you'd have to double check this before you finish it. So the large is $60 plus 75 cents times the weight. I think that's correct. All right, let me just do a quick check over here. See, practice is stuck. Okay, so no go on that one. I'm gonna have to go by memory. All right. Okay, so to calculate the weight in pounds, we want to talk about shipping. Okay, dollar shipping, and then we're going to do, come on over, and then we're going to do percent shipping. Like, what is the impact of the shipping costs on it? Shipping, right? And then we can, okay, so then we're going to need two more columns. So I just insert two, all right? So remember, this is one of our subcategories. Control, click that also. Blast it with a little yellow, and we're going to put in here cost 3 of 3, right? Okay, so this is the third one that we did with shipping, okay? All right, so the shipping is going to be equal to the weight. It's going to equal, well, if you come down here, freight had to do, let me move this back up a little bit. Control X, I need to back it off. Whoops, let me do that again. Control X. Control X, Control V, and small was from 1 to 99 pounds. Whoops, Control Z. This is equal to, I think you do this, 1 to 99 pounds. Yes. Okay. This will be large, from 100 to 249 pounds. And this is going to be greater than 250 pounds. Okay, that's the categories there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so these are the weight classes. Weight classes or categories, whatever we call it. Weight classes. Put it in like that so it fits. Okay, so I always love painting my little tables here to make them more useful. All right, so I'm gonna go back and paint it my dark bluish, white letter, bold it up, and we have a little table there. Okay. Okay, so now we know that's just a little table. And I'll save that. All right. So now let's come back to shipping. Shipping is going to equal the weight. Well, 900 pounds is into the freight class, so it's going to be $175 plus 40 cents times whatever the weight is, which is here. Okay, hit enter, and it's going to be $535. That we format as currency without the decimal places because it's a bigger number. And beforehand, I am going to do percentage on that to 2 places is fine. And the impact of shipping is going to be how much shipping cost divided by the contract value. Okay, I just have to check. I don't think this one's right. T3 over D3. Yeah, that. This I calculated wrong. This should be equal to T3, which is this guy, over the dollar value of the contract. I actually accidentally used quantity. And so here's our calculated value. Boom, that sounds better. That 70% was too high. Something didn't look right about that from the beginning. Save. And we can drag this down. Okay, again, we have some divide by zeros, but they'll get cleared up when you actually enter your next 7 contracts to analyze. All right, so far so good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is do total costs in dollars, right? And we're going to do the same thing, only I want to know what the percent impact of it is. Percent impact, okay? So the total cost is going to equal the sum. Something happened there. It blew up. This is equal to those dollars. Whoops, I have to do a comma, not plus. It's going to be the cost of shipping plus the cost of manufacturing plus the cost of material. Okay, so that's our total costs here. And somehow that got broken. So let me do that again. It's supposed to be percentage, like that. And it's going to equal, for some reason, so you have to watch your cells, make sure something doesn't go crazy on them, right? Okay, so it's going to equal the cost over the contract value. Got it? Okay. Now drag it down, see what happens. Okay, Control Save. I'm going to save it before something goes wrong with it. Shipping, okay. So for C, the reason I didn't drag shipping down is it depends on how big each of these contracts are, which part of the table down here for shipping costs you're going to use. Okay, so in our case, this first contract was 900 pounds. Who knows what the rest of them are going to weigh? You're going to have to go figure out in the table which equation to use there. Boom, boom. Total costs. We can drag that down. That'll be fine for the future. Okay, and then we're going to say what the percent impact of that. It's going to be the total costs divided by the contract value. Once again, I have to shoot over here and get our calculated contract value. Boom. Okay. All right. And I am going to format that as percent. 2 decimal places. Boom. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so half of our money goes out the door. Now, why did I have these other 2 categories here? So we can express let me ungold this. I don't want to ungold this. Hang on just a second. Let's no fill that guy. Actually, these are the columns that we want in yellow. Okay. Go back and get my yellow. I think it was that one, right? Okay. All right. Okay, so here we have total costs by dollars and percentage, and now we want to know what our what our dollar margin is. What's our margin in hard cold dollars? Spell it right, margin. Okay, and we also want to know it in percent. And that is going to be equal to all of, well, when we get to it, it's going to be equal to the dollar margin over the contract value. Go back to the contract value. I think it's going to be 0 or something, right? 0, okay, because we didn't figure out what the margin is. Okay, so the margin is just going to be the contract value minus those costs. So it's going to be equal to, I have to go get the contract value. Get to use that quite a bit. And it's going to be the contract value minus our costs, which is that. Hit enter. Okay. And this isn't formatted correctly as a percentage. We go back in here as a percentage, and there's 2 decimal places, and we hit it. Okay. And the percent total costs. We can drag all of these down for the future. Doesn't matter, we're going to divide by 0 because when you put in all the primitive information, it will start clearing out. Okay. And there you have it. I'm actually going to put these in darker gold because that's sort of the coup de grace. That's the grand total interest of everything we're interested in is how much are we going to make, okay? So now, what's the point of all this? Excuse me. Now the point is, let me grab this row. Okay, so we've got the T-shirt contract, and we can figure out how much money we're going to make and then what the margin is. Okay, why? Because every business person wants to know not just the hard cold dollars, but what are we clearing on it by percent? So this contract's worth 50%. How does that help? 2 things. Now, when you go back in and you see the schedule or the available contracts you can bid on, you can have a sense that you're going to make about 50 cents on the dollar for what you see there. Just remember, we're leaving out 4, maybe 5 other costs that would drop your profitability down. So we're learning how to compromise here. So we're compromising. We're not looking at all the costs. We're looking at some significant ones. Now, the other thing is the hard cold dollars matter to get to your total of 25,000 in Mod 4. But contract to contract, it's going to be interesting here under these percent margins. You're going to be able to tell contract to contract which ones are more profitable. Okay, and there's quite a bit of range here in the percent margin you've got. Okay, so that's pretty significant. We know which are profitable or not. So first you look at the contract list that's up for bidding, and so you bid on ones that have good margin with the consideration of what's their total value, what's the total value of the contract. Now, none of these numbers underneath here are accurate, so I just want to get them out of there. But as you build these up accurately, row by row by row by row, you're going to see that you might get a contract that's actually worth $10,000. But it might have a profitability of something like 0.36 or something. So it's less profitable, but you're going to take home more money. Capiche? All right. So you might end up making 10,000 on it, but it's a less profitable deal. But that's $10,000 towards your 25 that you need. Okay, versus 3 down here. Okay, so that's the business sense behind it. And the only other advice I would give is you still need to do the whole scheduling, similar type of thing. In scheduling here, let's shift over a bit, and I'm going to copy those cells. I think I've got them copied correctly, right? Okay, so instead of production floor activity group, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now instead of putting the costs in here, where we did that before, you're going to put in the cycle time. You put cycle times. You have to go through all these machines, and for T-shirts, because we're not using those 3 activities, we'll gray them out. It's the same idea. All right, but at the you're going to total out what the cycle times are. Okay, and so you're going to add in what the material ordering time is going to take, the processing time on the floor, and the shipping. Okay, and you're just going to come up with how many weeks. Okay, so with the interest of keeping this short, okay, I would not start the scheduling here until you go through and you get practice and you can work out entirely the profitability of the top 5 garments, right? And then I'd get underway. Then I'd get into the mod and start running it, making your decisions and everything. And as you need to bid, you're going to enter your new contract down here. So new garment, you're going to type in whatever it is, another Bermuda shorts thing, and you're going to type in all the information here. And sometimes some of the information will drop right down. You can borrow from above, okay? And so the tool starts going faster and faster and faster as you get to use it, all right? And you get more practice with it. And then I'd go back and do some cycle times on this. But I think the big thing is make sure you're making some money, get the mod going, okay? And if you need to go back into mod 4, but you've already attained goal achieved, there is a mod 4 sandbox for just that purpose. You can go back in there and play a few rounds and make sure that you have a total of 12 garments analyzed for profitability and schedule in there before you hand it in, because that's going to be what your report is about. Okay, so I hopefully that helps, Pat. I'm going to send this off to you. I got to produce it, and it'll probably take another 45 minutes before it gets rendered and uploaded. Okay, have a good weekend.